Mary is sitting on her bed in the way that 15-year-old girls often sit on their bed, cross-legged, sitting there. She's a thoroughly modern Mary, so she's got her iPad out, and she's going down this list of things. All of the things that have to do with her wedding. Make sure everything is just exactly right. All the different details. Going down the list, checking one thing after another. The plans for her wedding. She's 15 years old, but in her culture, 15 is a good age to be married. And so this is what everybody expects at this age. At age 15, she's getting everything ready for her wedding. She's engaged. Any of you remember this Dr. Laura used to do radio talk, counseling kinds of stuff? Dr. Laura always used to say, you're not really engaged until you have a ring and a date. Well, Mary's got a ring and Mary's got a date, and she has a fiancé, Joseph. Joseph, every night when he comes home from work, he goes over and starts working in the house that he's getting ready for them. The bathroom is already remodeled very nicely. He's working to get the kitchen put together right. The bedroom, they've worked on the bedroom and got it looking pretty good. A little more painting, a little more wallpapering, some new carpet, and it's going to be just like a dollhouse. Everything is falling into place. The wedding plans are all made, the wedding dress fits well, the bridesmaids' dresses all fit, the reception hall is all put together in a good way, the service is all planned out. Joseph even has the tickets for the honeymoon trip. It's all put together. They're all ready to go. All there is left to do is wait. And they wait in eager and joyful anticipation. They wait for the big day. And that's when the angel shows up. This angel Gabriel, who says to her, "Greetings, greetings, favored one. The Lord is with you." That's kind of a nice touch, isn't it? You're anticipating this big, wonderful day, this day that you hope will be blessed in all kinds of rich and wonderful ways. How nice is it that an angel shows up and brings you a special blessing for this day that you hope will be blessed beyond measure. Then the angel, unfortunately, keeps on speaking. When the blessing begins with the words, "Don't be afraid," you start getting a little uneasy. When the doctor says, "This won't hurt," it's just that kind of a thing. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. And so already Mary is starting to back off a little bit, but the angel keeps coming and keeps speaking. The angel says, "Out of all of the women in the world, Mary, out of all of the women in the whole wide world, God's grace found you. God's grace found you and singled you out in a way beyond all imagining, Mary. God's Holy Spirit will come upon you. The power of the Most High will overshadow you, and you will conceive. You will bear a son. You will name him Jesus. He will be called Son of the Most High. He will be called Son of David. He is the new promised king, the king that we heard about in the reading from 2 Samuel. It doesn't get any better than that, Mary. This is earth-shattering. This is awesome. This is big time. Never mind that it will also ruin Mary's reputation. It will turn her into an unwed mother. It probably will destroy her relationship with Joseph, because Joseph knows this baby isn't his. And we men, we have a way of remembering things like that. So we know, and Joseph knows. The angel didn't even ask permission. The angel didn't even ask if Mary was willing. The angel didn't even sit down and say, "Can we sort of negotiate our way through this somehow?" The angel just simply announced. That's why it is called the Annunciation. There's no invitation here. There's no negotiating. The angel just walked in and said, "Mary, this is what will happen." A grand announcement. The angel called it a blessing. Kind of a strange blessing, especially when you think that, you realize that by the time this baby, this most unusual baby, is 35 years old, he will be declared a criminal, an enemy of the people, and he will be put to death. But of course, Mary didn't know any of that at the beginning. She's already overwhelmed with what she has been told. Sometime, somewhere in your life, has the angel Gabriel ever shown up? Sometime, somewhere in your life, uninvited, unexpected, probably unwelcome, showed up to make some kind of a grand announcement, didn't even ask your permission, didn't invite any conversation, didn't invite any negotiation, just simply made the grand announcement, and there it is. Maybe you know what I mean. It might have been an unintended pregnancy. My friend Dory, When I met Dory, her oldest son was in high school, and her youngest son, she had two, was the year behind him. They graduated one after the other. The senior is going to be graduating soon after I met her. And, whoops, in ways that couldn't possibly happen, she all of a sudden is expecting a little baby. A baby who, by the time he was 20 months old, the baby's dad, Dory's husband, had died from a nasty complication from a disease. And Dory said over and over after those dark days that little Hunter was the reason that got her up in the morning. He was for her an angel. Maybe it was a dreaded diagnosis. The doctor came in, and the nurse or whoever, and reported some really nasty, ugly thing. And because of that diagnosis, you started to do what you should have been doing all along, the diet stuff and the exercise stuff and all that kind of stuff. I'm learning a little bit about that these days myself. Was that diagnosis an angel? Do they hand out pink slips these days when they're laying you off or firing your from? I haven't heard people mention pink slips lately, but in the old days, that's how you knew that you lost your job or got laid off. A friend of mine named Jeff. Jeff had one of those jobs that from the outside everybody wished they had. It was one of those jobs that paid so well and had such wonderful benefits that it was kind of like golden handcuffs, and you couldn't possibly afford to walk away from it, but he hated every minute. Maybe you had one of those jobs. The day came when something happened in the company and Jeff lost his job, and after the dust settled a bit, Jeff said to me, losing that job was the best thing that ever happened to me because it set me free to go look for the job I really wanted but couldn't afford to go looking for as long as I had this job. Maybe some of you know about that. Maybe it's a calling that you just can't elude. It keeps chasing you and haunting you. And no matter what you try to do, you can't get away from it because everywhere you go, it's just sort of there and you can't escape it. My nephew Luke is a big boy, went to the University of North Carolina on a basketball scholarship. And like all those kids who play basketball in college on scholarships, he's going to be in the NBA and all that great stuff, which of course, for almost all of them, like Luke, doesn't work out quite that way. But Luke's life worked out pretty well anyway. He graduated, he was teaching school, he was coaching teams, was winning some games, he got married, had a baby. Life was going pretty well. Luke called me up one day and he said, Uncle Dan, I'm going to seminary. Luke, are you crazy? See, I have been to 3 seminaries and I've graduated from 2 of them. And I know that only crazy people go to seminary. So I said, Luke, you know this is crazy. He says, I know. So why are you doing this? He says, because, Uncle Dan, God has been chasing me around. I decided it was time to quit running. So Luke went to seminary and he's now ordained. He's in the Presbyterian church as a pastor and still does some coaching. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Anybody here know what I'm talking about? The Angel Gabriel has shown up in your life and made some kind of a grand announcement. I don't know what it is, but you know what it is. The Angel Gabriel showed up in your life, made some kind of grand announcement.